All right. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you today?
Good.
It's good to see you. All right. Okay. So we're going to begin right away so we can get our full hour in. And the recording has already started. So I'm going to pull up your homework notes and just say some things about those. And then we'll get into the main lesson for this evening. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hold on 1 second. So this is one page of your homework. You can see the notes in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to start saying yes and no instead of and uh-uh. Okay.
Okay.
Let's pretend we're in college now. I know you've never been to college. I hope you plan on going to college one day. But in college, it's just good for you to practice saying yes. You don't have to say yes, sir, but yes is nice. It sounds nicer. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is Mahdi's homework, and I'm going to ask you to do the reading of it. I think it's perfectly done, but I just want to hear you recite back to me what it is you wrote for your homework, the question and the answers. Okay.
Okay.
Is it big enough on your screen for you to be able to read it?
Yeah.
Okay, go right ahead then.
MAHDI 2022. What did I do for my mom and dad? I moved coal with my mom, friend, and my friend's dad. Me and my friend and my mom moved hay bales into the chicken run. I washed the dishes. What did
Good.
I do myself? I have not eaten too many snacks. I eat more. I am not as addicted to my device than before.
Ah, those are some excellent improvements. So, you said that you have not eaten too many snacks. That's good. Now, when you say I eat more, what are you saying you eat more of?
Food, actual food.
Yeah. All right. And you are admitting that you were somewhat of an addict to your devices, right?
Hmm.
What are those, like toys and stuff like that?
No.
What kind of devices?
Uh, like a computer or a tablet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Well, that's good. Those are not good addictions. All right. So do your best to control yourself when it comes to those things. You give them some time, but you don't devote a whole lot of time to those gadgets. Devote more time to developing your mind. Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Now there's another, hold on. There's another homework that I need to find. I think I know where it is. It's in my email. I think it's here. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now let me download both of these. Boom, boom. Now let's see if I can pull these up. Okay, can you see that? You should be able to.
What are the seven continents? Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia.
Okay, read those again, but put numbers before each one so I know that you're correct when you say seven. In other words, put numbers before you give me the name of the continent. Say one, Asia, two, Africa, and go from there.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
One,
Mm-hmm.
two.
No,
Uh,
no. Say one and then tell me the name of it.
oh,
Okay, go ahead.
so one, Asia, is that good?
That's good. Yeah.
Two, Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Three, North America.
Good.
Four, South America.
Good.
Five, Antarctica.
Good.
Six, Europe. Seven, Australia.
Very good. And for that, I give you 10 fingers together. All right. Very good. Now, there's one minor mistake that you've made here in the way that you wrote out the question. So give me the question again.
What are the seven continents?
There you go. So you'll make that correction in your notes, okay?
Okay.
It's minor, but it's still a mistake. Can you see this new page?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hold on one moment. All right. Okay, so whenever you're finished doing what you're doing, you can read out this question and answer.
What are the seven major lakes and where are they located? Superior, Michigan,
Give me
Huron.
numbers. Give me numbers.
1. Superior. 2. Michigan. 3. Huron. 4. Erie. 5. Ontario.
Mm-hmm. You gave me 5. I'm looking for 7. Did I make a mistake when I said 7? Or did you make a mistake and not include all of the 7 lakes?
No, there are only 5.
Okay, then I made a mistake. I apologize. Right? I was in high school when I learned this. That was a long time. So 5 major lakes, very good. And that's what happens when you study. See, you're able to make corrections on things that you might have learned or somebody might have told you that's not all of the way correct. And then you can go back and correct the people who are teaching you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's how Allah created us. None of us know everything. Only Allah knows all. Human beings, no matter who they are, no matter how smart they are, we are all limited. And we recognize our mistakes and then we clean up the mistake and correct the mistake. And that makes us better. Okay. So we're going to stop sharing this. It's back to you and me. And now I'm going to pull up my notes for today. And as always, we're going to begin with the Arabic alphabet. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure you can see this, which I don't think you can. Hold on. Let me share this correctly here. There we go. Okay. You're able to see it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very good. All right. So we're going to go over the Arabic alphabets as we will do at the beginning of every one of our sessions. So whenever you're ready, I'm going to ask you, without me saying anything, to just give me the names of these letters, these 29 letters, and do it as correctly as far as pronunciation is concerned. Do it as correctly as you can. Okay, go for it.
Alif, Ba, Ta, Ta, Jim, Ha, Kha, Dal, Zal, Ra, Za, Sin, Sheen, Sod, Dod, Ta, Ba, Ain, Ghain, Fa, Qaf, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Noon, Ha, Wow, Ya,
And
Hamza.
Mahdi, let me say something to you. That was perfect. I was looking, I said, I know he's going to make a little bit of a mistake somewhere. There's 29 letters here. He's got to make a mistake. And you made absolutely no mistakes. What planet are you from?
Mm,
That's kind of a trick question.
I know.
What do you know?
Uh, I'm from whatever.
From planet whatever. I like that. I'd like to visit you there, right? Some people say, where you from? I say, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, wherever that planet whatever is, they taught you well because that pronunciation was perfect. And I mean, not just for all 21, I mean, all 29 you've pronounced correctly. Now, how would you make the sound of the Hamza, though, in the throat? How does that sound again?
Ah,
Say it again.
ah.
One more time.
Ah.
All right. So I'm going to ask you to tweak it a little bit and say, ah.
Ah.
Right. Like it's if a little brother or a little sister was doing something that they didn't have any business and they're reaching for that cookie jar and you know your mother said they can't have any more cookies, you say ah ah ah, right? Ah, ah, ah. That's what it's doing. It's telling them cut it out. Hamza cuts the breath. Don't do that. Ah. That's what it's for. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to me one more time because I like that letter the best.
Ah.
That's right. Say it many times in a row. Let me hear. Let me hear what it sounds like.
Ah. Ah. Ah.
All right. All right. We're going to learn two new letters today. You ready for that?
Okay.
Okay. Hold on one moment. We're going to learn the letter ta. All right. Just reposition your picture here. All right. So we're going to learn the letter ta. And I want you to read the sentence and then I will explain to you what you need to know about the sentence. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Go for it.
Ta. The hair when groomed connected to the scalp, face, or body. To groom means to tend or care for.
Okay. So ta is the hair when groomed. And it says here that to groom means to tend or to take care of or to care for. So when you care for your hair like you do, because I can see you're very well groomed, your hair is nice. I don't know who cuts your hair or whatever, but they do a great job, right? And this gentleman who's in the picture here, you can see he's got a nice line here, nice little cut and faded on the side and all of that, right? And you can tell his hair is combed and taken care of. It's tended to. He's probably got some kind of mousse or some kind of something in there to make it nice and firm and all of that. Okay, so that's what the letter ta means. It means to be neat and tidy. You hear the ta sound, the T sound in tidy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to learn a little bit more. So when you look at this letter ta, I want you to think about a smiley face, a person's smiley face, and maybe these would be his eyes, or maybe this would be his neatly groomed hair. I don't know. You make it up as long as it helps you to remember it. So that's ta. How many dots does ta have?
2.
Okay, and that's because ta means two. Ta, two. Say it.
Ta. 2.
That's right. Okay, let's move on. Read some more.
Hair that is groomed is connected from above the scalp to beneath the scalp. The hair above the scalp has no feeling, but the hair beneath the scalp is connected to a nerve ending which can feel pain when pulled.
Okay, so let me slow it down a little bit to make sure that you're understanding this. So, hair that is taken care of is connected from above the scalp. Let me see you point to the area above your scalp. Very good. So, whatever hair is growing above your scalp, right, is what we're talking about right now. Now, that hair that's growing above your scalp, I want you to just touch it lightly. Do you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
So, does your hair have feelings?
Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
Yeah,
Okay. Why do you say your hair has feeling?
like because when you touch it, you feel your hand going through it.
Very good. Now, I'm going to show you something very important for you to remember. You're not really feeling the hair that's above your scalp.
You're feeling the nerve.
Yeah. Where's the nerve connected to? What part of the head?
Beneath the scalp?
That's right. And that's why if you take your hair in your hand right now, I don't have much, so I can't show you an example because you have nice hair. Take some of your hair in between two fingers and pull it. Just pull at it. You feel that?
Mm-hmm.
That's because it is connected to nerve endings that are beneath the scalp.
That's why when you cut your hair, you don't feel your hair being cut.
That's correct. There's one other part of your body that operates that same way. You don't feel it until you pull at it. What is that? You can cut it. It's not going to hurt you.
Your beard?
No, that's hair. It's not hair. This other part is not hair. What is it? Look, think about your body. Look at parts of your body. It's something else that goes beneath the skin.
Flesh?
Hmm?
Flesh?
No, that's too general. It goes beneath the flesh. I'm going to give you a hint.
Bone.
No, I'm going to give you a hint. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me put it this way. That means if you're going to give me the right answer, you have to think about something that is above the skin, like your hair is above the scalp, but is connected beneath that skin.
My nails?
There you go. Look at you. Right? So your hair, this is what Allah does now. Allah gives us instructions through the things that He creates. So He's telling us that there are two parts of the body that exist a little above the surface, and there's no feeling in that. You clip your nails all the time, right? Sometimes we bite our nails and it doesn't hurt us, right? But if if you get a little piece of that skin on the side of your finger and you pull at that, ah, right? Or if you cut the nail too short, you feel that pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the hair and the nails are very, very much alike. And they are both made of what is called crystal fiber. Say that.
Crystal fiber.
Say it one more time.
Crystal fiber.
That's right. That's important to remember. I'm going to ask you to include that in your next set of homework notes. Crystal fiber. And I want you to look up the word crystal and the word fiber and give me meanings for both words. Okay? All right. So it's not hair that's growing beneath the scalp that you're concerned with. We're only concerned about grooming the hair that grows above the scalp. Now, I know this is a lot of explanation, but this is going to do good for you in the future when we come back to these letters. And when we begin to look at words in the Quran that begin with these letters, then you're going to say, now I got what the instructor was trying to teach me. I understand now. I didn't get it when he was giving it to me because it was just a lot. But the more you do the homework I'm asking you to do, it'll be no time, just a few weeks from now, when you're able to come back and say, instructor, I can explain everything you said back to you because I got this now. I know that's about to happen for you. All right. So we've established what? That the hair above the scalp has no feeling, but the hair beneath the scalp is connected to nerve endings, which can feel pain when pulled. Let's look at that nerve ending. So this is your scalp. You see this part here?
Mm-hmm.
That's your scalp. And your scalp is sub-rooted. What does sub mean?
Partially?
Say it again.
Partially, temporarily.
No. Think about other words that have sub in it, like subway. Where is the subway? You don't have them out there where you are, but in New York and these other places, we have subways.
Underneath.
Yes. Yes. So what does sub mean?
Underneath.
underneath or beneath. Okay. Underneath the surface of the skin. This is the surface. Just like there are people on the surface of the street, walking about, going about, talking to each other, going into the stores. They're on the surface of the street. But when they go into the subway, they have to go down beneath the surface, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the sub portion of the skin where the hair is also sub rooted. Its roots are down, down, down beneath the surface of your scalp. And it's connected. If you can see the word nerves right here, can you see that? Is that big enough for you to see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's a bunch of other words here that you don't have to worry about. We'll get to those later, once we advance in this area. All right. But I wanted you to see the word nerves because the nerves are what are connected to the nerve cells. These are nerve cells. So when you pull at that hair, now you can see why it hurts because it's connected to nerves. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you have two parts of the hair that you should be concerned about. What are they?
Um,
Or where are they? I should say. Where are those two parts of the hair?
in the where are the two parts
Well,
of the
I
hair?
should have phrased it. I should have kept it phrased that way. What are the two parts of the hair that we've been discussing? Where are they
The,
located?
the nerve.
Okay, that's the sub part where the roots are. And then what's the other part of the hair that we can groom? Where is it located?
On the outside.
Yep. So on the outside of what?
Our scalp.
Yes. The outside or above the surface. Get used to that word surface. Say it with me.
Sur-
Surface. Surface.
surface.
Can you spell that hard word? Surface.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's fine.
Yeah, go right ahead. It's one of my favorite words.
Surface.
There you go. There you go. Very good. Surface. Okay. All right. So the part that we are concerned with mostly is the part of the hair that is above the surface. And it doesn't have any feelings. You can tap it, you can put a hat on it, you can tie a scarf to it, you can put a khimar up there and tie it under your neck or whatever people do. And it's not going to hurt your hair, not on top. But if something gets snagged, if the hair gets snagged by something, or you're combing it and your mother's combing it too rough or something, then you're going to feel pain because it is now pulling at the nerves that are down beneath the scalp. So I'm saying all of that to you because I want you to keep listening to this lesson and always tie it back over to this letter. What's the name of this letter again?
Ta.
Okay. All right. So that's Ta. That's your example over here to the right. And it represents all of what we just discussed. And this is what it looks like when the looking glass is able to look beneath the scalp. This is what you're going to find. And these are your nerves on the bottom. Okay. Now, let's learn something further about the letter Ta and tie it into some words from the Quran. This is the good part. You want to keep reading or you want me to read?
Me.
Very good. Good.
Ta is any two things or people, groups, etc. that exist independently yet are tied together. Can you name things, people, groups that fit in that description?
Can you? Don't continue reading yet. I want you to give me things that are independent of each other. They don't have to depend on each other. But at the same time, they still can be tied together. Now, you're going to have to really, really think hard to think of something that fits that description? Can you think of anything?
Sheep. They don't.
Go ahead. Yeah. Good example.
Sheep don't depend on each other when they're older. They don't really do anything.
You said they do
Well,
not. You said they
depend
do
on.
not. They do not depend on each other when they get older.
Yeah, not
Okay.
really.
Good. That's kind of like children, right? The children depend on their parents while they're very young. And then when they grow older, they become more and more independent, right?
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that they don't care about their parents anymore because their parents don't have to walk them to school. Their parents don't have to take them to the store. Their parents don't have to take them to the amusement park. They can go by themselves because they're older now and they're independent. But it doesn't mean that they say that to your parents, you don't want to go nowhere else with your parents. You don't want to be around your parents. That's not what it means. You're independent of your parents. You depend on your own mind and your own knowledge and all of your own money if you have a job to get around, to go around, to be around other things that your parents are not with you for. But you still love your parents and you still want to be with and around your parents. So you're tied together because of the love that you have for your parents and the love that your parents have for you. But you're still two independent sources or people, right?
There's also another type. I'm pretty sure they don't depend on each other.
Go right ahead.
Hyenas. They don't. They actually fight against each other because they hunt together, but when it comes to feeding, well, it's free for all.
These are hyenas you're talking about.
Yeah, because
Okay. So they
they
hunt
hunt.
together. They hunt together. But when it comes to eating what they hunted, they don't like each other that much, huh? We saw that in that movie. What was that? The Lion King? Did you see
Mm,
that movie? The Lion King
no.
with the hyenas? Oh, you've never seen The Lion King? You need to watch that movie sometimes if you can at some point where you get free to watch it. But it was a very interesting movie. But they had three hyenas in that group or in that movie that were doing exactly what you said. When it came to getting somebody and getting something done, they would all work together. But when it came to sharing what they got, they didn't like that idea too much. So you're absolutely right. All right. Give me one more example. Independent from each other, but still tied together with each other.
I guess birds, hawks,
Well, give me an example of how they are
because
independent from each other.
because the well, as a baby, of course, the mother has to feed them, but um, I like vultures. They don't like when they're in a pack together. They're like sort of together, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
So circling around a dead a dying animal,
Mm-hmm.
and like when it dies, they all come down. And guess
Oh, so when they're looking for their prey, you're saying they're pretty much independent, right? They're by themselves, maybe circling a carcass or a dying animal. But when
mm-hmm,
they actually go to retrieve the animal, to get the animal,
mm-hmm,
you're saying that then a bunch of them come, right?
mm-hmm,
And they feed on the carcass, or they have
mm-hmm.
to kill the animal sometimes, right? And then they feed on the carcass, and then they go about their way and they become independent again. Is that what you're saying?
Mm, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's sort of like sharks. It's like a feeding frenzy. Whenever they
I
smell
understand. Yeah.
the sharks circle around the animal, and then they chew it up, and then after that, everyone's by themselves. Get your own food.
Oh man. So sharks don't swim in schools like little fish.
Only hammerheads. Those are the only sharks I know.
Hammerheads swim in schools. but most sharks are independent in the water until it's time to feed, and then the frenzy happens. Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Man, I'm learning so much from you today. I appreciate that. See, I grew up in the projects of New York City. I didn't grow up around nature. There was nothing natural in New York City, in Manhattan. So I have to learn all my nature lessons from you now, Mahdi. Can you handle that? I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about nature. Can you handle that?
I guess.
Yeah, you know you can. You're a smart guy. You know you can. All right. So I guess we can say that most creatures have independence, but also are still tied together for certain situations, right? Certain things that they do when they eat or when they hunt, when they need each other, when they need to be tied together, they're tied together, and then they go about their merry way and do their individual thing. That's what I'm hearing from you. Okay. So let's talk about Prophet Muhammad, the prophet of our deen, the prophet who delivered the Quran, the word of Allah, to humanity, not just to any one person or people. He delivered the Quran to all people who would listen to it, not just the Muslims, not just the Christians or Jews or atheists. He came to teach everybody equally. Whoever would hear it and listen to it and follow the guidance, that's who Muhammad the Prophet came to teach. So he's universal. He didn't come for any small group, no small tribe. He came for every human being who would listen. So that's Muhammad. Then he had some people who were surrounding him in his day and time. This was about 1,500 years ago now. He had some immediate, what they call the Sahaba. We call them companions, close friends, right? If it were us in this day and time, we call them our homies. So, yeah, Prophet Muhammad had homies. You know what I mean? People who he could trust to watch his back, people who he loved and who loved him. These were just the closest group of people around him. They were his Sahaba. We call them companions, right? Now, after the Prophet had died, after he passed away, many of the Sahaba were still alive. So they had to keep passing the message of the Quran on so that future generations would also be in touch with the Quran. They didn't let the Quran just die off because the Prophet wasn't here anymore to teach it. They had to keep teaching it. So there's another group that developed. So you had the Prophet himself and you had the Sahaba. I want you to think about like the solar system. You have the
Yeah.
sun, right? The central
The
body, mhm.
the Earth and the Moon.
The Earth and the moon, and you have the other planets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see those other planets along with the sun. Well, the sun is the central point of energy and light for all of those planets. So the sun kind of sets itself apart from the other planets. Okay. But then you have those other planets that are circling the sun, right? Getting light from the sun, they're getting heat from the sun. It's the light of the sun that keeps pushing those planets so that they will keep spinning, keep rotating. So they're getting all of that energy from being in the presence of the sun in the same way that all of the Sahaba were getting their energy from being in the presence of who?
The Sun.
Yeah, but for the Sahaba, who represented that sun? Who were they being taught by?
The
It's right here. Look at my notes.
Prophet Muhammad.
Yes. Yeah. So he was like the sun, and they were like planets around the sun that were getting their energy and their enlightenment from Prophet Muhammad. Does that make sense to you, or you need me to explain it more?
No, it's good.
Okay. And it's interesting that they say that the tradition of the prophet that he taught as an example for his companions and for other people, they call that tradition his sunnah. You heard that word before?
Mm-hmm.
You did? You have?
No,
You never heard of the sunnah of Muhammad? It's okay if you haven't.
I've heard of the word, but I've never knew the meaning.
Okay. So the more you read about al-Islam, the more you're going to come in contact with the word sunnah. But look at what word is in that word. What word is
Son.
that? Yeah. So that's how you remember it.
The son of Prophet Muhammad?
You receive Muhammad's example, just like you see the sun as an example for all of the other planets. Right? You got that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. No, you don't. So let's go back to an example. What is the sun doing for the other planets?
Giving them light and energy.
That's right. Say it again, slowly.
Giving them light and energy.
That's right. When I teach you, am I giving you light?
Yeah.
How?
So if I had a notebook and I couldn't see it, like there'd be like notes in it, but I couldn't see it, and you were my light, you'd be shining the light on me so I could see my notes and make more and like so you're shining your knowledge on me.
Wow. Nice explanation. That's nice. I'm proud of you for that answer. It's a better one than I had. That's great, MAHDI. That's a great answer. Yeah. So light is not just physical light, is what you're saying, right? It's not just the light that's in the room, that we can adjust and all of that. Light is also up here in the mind. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's why people say you're so bright.
Yes. That's right. And it has nothing to do with a physical brightness or physical lightness. It has everything to do with helping your mind to see things, just like your physical eyes are helped by physical light. So you are way ahead of where you could have been. You're way ahead of where most people your age, 11, 12, 13, I don't know, some 17 and 18-year-olds couldn't give me that same answer that you gave me. So feel good about that, okay?
Okay.
All right. Let's continue. So now you have the Sahaba, the companions, the close friends of Muhammad the Prophet, who is now passed. He's not with them anymore. So they are now responsible for teaching the other people that are coming after them, the young ones that are being born, like you. So if Prophet Muhammad was my teacher, let's say, and then he passes, he's just deceased. Now I become the new son for you and the people in your generation. Then you become the planets. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
You become the planets that come to me for that same light and for that same warmth. See?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the universe works. Do you know that even in the cosmos, there are suns that are born and then those suns die? I'm talking about the sun. Our sun is not the only sun. I think you might know that already, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just the sun for this galaxy, but there are many suns.
A lot bigger.
A lot bigger. That's right. A lot bigger. Okay. And they are born in time, they fizzle out. I mean, after eons and eons of time, I'm not just talking about like 100 years or nothing like that, but eons of time. They die out, and then new suns are born, and they gather planets around them. And the same process happens. So it's the same thing with Muhammad the Prophet and his sunnah, which when it becomes dim and dull, and then he's not the primary teacher of it anymore, then Allah brings about other lights that are able to, as they say, pick up the torch and carry the torch, see, carry the light and finish the job or continue the job. So there's a group of people known as tabi'un. Can you say that?
Tabi'un.
Say it again.
Tabi'un.
Very good. And those are the followers of the Prophet. So the Sahaba were the direct followers of Muhammad, but the Tabi'un are the followers of the followers, the original followers of Muhammad. And I said all of that to say that that's why their name or title begins with the ta, Tabi'un, because ta means to tie two things together.
The Sahaba and the Prophet Sunnah.
Yeah, yeah. And now they're going to tie themselves as the companions who now have to, here's another T for you, they have to teach. See, you can't teach unless there are at least two, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand here and just teach myself. I mean, I can teach myself, but then I'm really speaking to somebody inside of me when I teach myself. So there's always going to be some two-ness, right? That I'm appealing to. So you got the Sahaba, then you got the ones who are following them called tabi'un, who are tied not to the Prophet anymore, but tied to the Sahaba. And they are depending on the Sahaba to teach them what Prophet Muhammad taught the Sahaba. You have another word in the Quran called tijara. Can you say that?
Tijara.
Say it one more time.
Tijara.
And tell me what it means.
The act of doing business through selling and buying.
All right. So if you are a store owner or you're growing fruits and vegetables in your farm, you take them to your market and people come into that market and they say, wow, look at how beautiful and red and ripe those tomatoes are. I need to buy that from this market. So tell me what they need to do in order to purchase that product. Who's involved in that part of it?
The customer and seller.
Exactly. And what is the customer doing?
Buying, trading for the item.
Yes. And who has the item?
The oh yeah.
You just said it.
Seller.
That's right. So there's your two. The buyer and who?
The seller.
The seller. Two tied together. And it's called tijara. Say that again.
Tijara.
All right. So I'm going to ask you about all of these words. And I'm going to ask you, what does tijara have to do with two? I'm going to ask you what tabi'un has to do with two. And then we're going to talk about some English words like table. So read that line there.
Family dining at the table.
Okay. And the word, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A family dining at the table. How are they going to get tied together?
Okay. So tell me how, let's say you're having a family dinner and there are four people around the table, the table, the table. How are those people independent from each other, but still tied together?
Because the person who cooked the food gave it all to them, and well, they're grateful for the food. So, and another thing is they're independent because they're eating their own food. They want what they want, not what the other people want.
Right
And
on.
if you don't want your food and somebody wants it, they could take it if you didn't want it.
Right on. Love it. So, hmm. So let's say you have those four people around the table and your auntie or whoever cooked all of that good food. Now she's sitting at the table and the family blessed at the table and people are having conversations with each other about when they were younger and some stupid things they might have done when they were little, little guys and girls. And they're just having the time of their life around the table. Then one of the people get a call on their cell phone, right? They answer the phone and their face goes from being happy. They're around the family, they're having fun, they're telling jokes. Right? But whatever that is that that person on the other end of the phone is saying has now suddenly caused the person holding the phone to become angry. But why would you say that? Well, you're not supposed to talk to me like that. But I don't care. I haven't seen you in 5 years. Where have you been? And whoa, everybody at the table is like, whoa. And then the person just gets up off the table and just goes into the back room and slams the door. That's uncomfortable. That person is no longer tied to the people at the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're doing something that's like way different than what everybody else is doing who are independent, but they're still together. So when something breaks up the togetherness, then it becomes uncomfortable in the same way that if your hair were nicely groomed, like those pictures we saw earlier of the people with the close cropped haircut and the neatly, combed hair. If somebody comes behind them, like children might do, and say, "Hey, uncle," and just start swishing their hand in your hair, and your hair becomes all messed up. That's just like that person getting up from the table, and running out. See that little piece of hair that got messed up? That's like hair that said, "I don't want to be groomed anymore. I'm out of here." Right? So I'm trying to draw some pictures for you that we call concepts. Now, this might be too heavy for other children your age, but I believe that you're understanding what it is I'm saying. So, can you explain back a little bit of what I just said? How is the person who gets the phone call now interacting or not interacting with the people at the table that they were having a good time with? How is that interruption affecting that relationship? Are they still tied together at the table?
No,
Tell me what's going on there.
because everyone was shocked that this person just ran out with a phone call and became all upset, and then they're all he or she or whatever must who might be telling a story, and then now they're all interrupted. Now they're all shocked and like, what's going on?
Yeah. Now, let me give you another scenario. I want you to imagine yourself as like a movie maker who's shooting a scene, and you have to pay careful attention to everything that's in the scene. Now, take that same person who got the phone call. Let's pretend now that she didn't get a phone call, but that she just got up to use the restroom. Now, in both scenes, the person got up and left the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the person who just went to the restroom, who you know is going to eventually come back, are they still together? Even though she did get up and she did leave the group, she left the table, but are they all still together?
Yeah,
That's the correct answer.
because nobody's unhappy.
There you go. But what about the person who slammed the phone down and said, "Look, I'm going to deal with you on another day." And oh, this person made me so angry. I can't even sit at the table and concentrate. And I can't do this. I'm leaving. I have to go. Where's my jacket? Is that person still together with the family?
No, it's
What's
like
the. Mhm.
if you're pulling water out the well and you need this other person to like hold it just in case something falls, and this other guy he has an itch he needs to scratch, and he just lets go,
Ooh,
and then you just start over again.
yeah, that's right. You got to start from the beginning. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the woman who got the phone call, the negative phone call, and rushed to get up, and it spoiled her whole time that she planned on having with her family. That's painful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, you kind of feel sorry for her, that, and you wonder who was that caused that kind of pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same pain that I'm trying to show you happens when somebody comes and takes a chunk of your hair and starts pulling at it. It's going to be painful. And eventually, if they pull it enough, what's going to happen to that hair?
Come on.
That's right. It'll be separated from your scalp, just like that woman who got the phone call was separated from the table painfully. You see how they both are saying the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
You want to see anything more about that before we move on?
Well, it's almost the same as getting just like normal phone calls, just a lot of them.
Yeah, that
Like,
could be an interruption also, but I don't think they're going to let it spoil their fun. Maybe they're a business person and they're getting orders for something that they have at the store and they have to take the call, but they're still smiling, right? And when they hang up, they're back at they're playing chess or checkers or whatever. So they're still together until she gets another phone call. As long as the phone
and then,
call doesn't take her away from the table and away from the pleasure that she's there to have, right?
but then again, if she is a businesswoman and she gets like an important call, like this account has been compromised, you need to come help, and then well, she has to go. So
Then that becomes the yank that we were talking about. It's the same thing. That becomes somebody pulling them away, and that it's not like somebody who's trying to hurt you, but it's still hurting because of the idea now that you have to leave when you had came originally and planned on staying the evening, maybe even staying overnight with your family, right? You haven't seen them in like 2 years. So it's still painful. There are different kinds of pain, right?
mhm.
And sometimes there's the pain that people cause you and they mean to cause you that pain. Then there's other kinds of pain that you hurt, but the person who hurt you didn't really mean to hurt you. Make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. You want to say anything more about that before we move on?
No,
Okay. So we have a few more minutes left because we started a little bit late. Okay.
okay.
You got enough time to stay with me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I said that so that you know that this letter T in the English word table is suggesting the same thing, that it's a place where people are supposed to be together. Even though there's a lot of people at the table, all of the people at the table are still together.
The two is in the together.
That's correct. That's correct. Can you give me another word that begins with T?
Like any word.
Any word.
Just let you know this is a weapon. Halberd.
Say it again.
Wait, never mind. No, 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 I thought it's
Now that
that
ends with
continue.
a T. We want one that begins with a T. I'll give you one.
Okay.
Trust. Trust.
Two must trust.
That's right.
One doesn't trust, and the trust is already broken.
That's right. And then there's no more trust. There has to be two. There's a very famous saying that says it takes two to tango. Tango is a dance that people
Mm-hmm.
do together, two people. You don't tango with 3 and 4 people, right? It's not the Soul Train line. It's two people doing a certain kind of movement on the dance floor, and they call it the tango. But it takes two because you can't tango by yourself.
And tangle. You need two wires to tangle.
To tangle, that's right. Tangled wire, that's right. So as you continue to study words, I want you to go into the English dictionary as part of your homework. And I want you to write down 10 words that begin with T. So when we come back next week, we can see whether our, what do we call this? Philosophy, I guess, fits for all 10 of those T words. All right. So by next Wednesday, you would have put into your homework 10, which starts with a T, 10 words in English that begin with T. Got that?
Okay.
Okay. You got that?
So 10 words that
I can't see your
start
whole face. I see your lips and your nose.
with,
Okay.
so 10 words that start with T.
Let's start with T.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So here's another T word. Read that last sentence.
Hmm. Table.
No, down here. Down here. This sentence.
Town.
What is?
Town.
Read the whole sentence.
What about living in the same town? How are they independent but still tied together? I was gonna say this before, but so in an Indian tribe, because so they build their own teepees. The families have their own teepees,
Look at all
but
those
yet,
T's. Look at all the T's you're giving me. Tribe, TP. You can put that down as some of your 10 words, right?
mm,
All right. Finish
so
what you were saying. Mhm.
so they hunt together. They care for each other. If someone's needs medical attention, they give it to each other. And well, there has to be a leader, so to make decisions. But yet the leader is not like completely tied to them. It's they're not the leader is not tied like well in some ways it is because if the town agrees to that he is the leader then yeah. But if nobody agrees then well he's not a leader anymore.
Okay. And he maintains his independence, right?
Hmm.
But even if he is the leader, he still has independence. He doesn't do everything with the tribe, right?
Hmm.
So it's the same thing. So what about a town, like a small city or a small town? How are they independent of each other but still tied together?
Well, there needs to be people in the town that sell stuff. If you like a yard sale and like if it was like this nice chair, ooh, I want this, and then they would give like a dollar bill, coin, some
Mm-hmm.
coin,
And
or some
what word did we say covers that idea? Right here. Remember?
hidra,
Say it again.
hidra,
No, tijara.
hijara,
Right.
and also
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of like saying trading.
You see that T word?
Hmm.
What word did you just say?
Trading
That's right.
money for whatever the product is.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Takes two to trade.
Or
That's
else you would,
tijara. Mm-hmm.
if
Yeah,
you had a baseball card and somebody had a baseball card you wanted, then you would trade.
that's right. And it takes two people to trade. Okay.
Hmm.
So if you're in the same town, what what kind of event could actually either positively or negatively affect everybody in the town at one time?
If somebody, wait, what did you say?
Okay, let's talk about something bad that could happen, something negative. What negative thing, let's say you're in a town of 500 people, a small town, right? What
Mhm.
kind of thing could happen that would negatively affect the entire town at one time?
Sickness, plague, disease, riot.
Good. Oh, man, nice, nice, good, very good. You've heard of the city of Chicago, Illinois?
Hmm.
There was a time when the entire city burned down and they blamed a cow for the fire. That was many, many years ago. But they blamed the burning of Chicago on a cow. I guess she knocked over a lantern or something, and I don't know what happened. It's hard to believe even to this day, but that negatively affected the whole town of Chicago. The whole city was affected by that. What about taxes? Can that affect the whole town at the
I mean,
same time?
if they're too high and too often,
What if the taxes all of a sudden are lowered for the whole
well,
town? Does that
well then,
also affect the town?
yeah, in a positive way.
There you go. So it can be either positive or negative.
Like the taxes are used for like building something. Like if you wanted to build a town hall, and it would take like somewhat dollars, and you would take like how many ever dollars you need. Like if you need like not like a town hall, if you need to build like this one place needed somebody to build like a barn, and it was like uh how many ever dollars. Well, people would tax however much they needed. And if the leader was bad, they would tax more than they needed and get some extra
Yes.
money themselves.
Good answer. Great answer. What if you're in a part of a town where the source of electricity was affected by a lightning strike or something, or somebody made a mistake and flipped the wrong switch down at City Hall or down at the electrical plant or whatever, and the whole town went dark? That affects the whole town, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. But the people are still independent.
But yeah, still working together
Yeah. Because
because
let's say people can't go out to get food because all of the supermarkets are closed because of the blackout. My family might still eat, but the people next door to me's family who didn't get a chance to go shopping and very little food in the refrigerator, they're not going to be eating that night. Unless what?
unless you guys share,
That's right.
you
And
like
you know,
you
yeah,
like you cook a casserole and you give it to them, and then like next time if they get like food and they see that you have enough food, they'll come to your house and they give you food.
in return. Isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the spirit of the Quran. That's the spirit of Christians who understand their Bible. That's the spirit of Jews who understand their Torah. That's the spirit of anybody who says that they believe in a higher power that holds them responsible for their behavior. Nobody wants to believe that when they leave this life, which everybody must do at some time or another, that whatever is going to judge them is going to look back at that moment and say, wait a minute, you had like 5 times more than what you needed when the lights went out. And you knew that the people next door to you had very little, and they had a 2-year old in the house, and the mother was pregnant, and and that kind of thing. And you didn't even knock on their door to see if they were okay. See, nobody wants the creator to have to judge them like that. Nobody wants another person to think bad about them like that. So your own soul that Allah put in you is going to make that decision just in the quietness of your own mind. I need to go help my neighbor. All right. You don't have to put yourself in harm's way. Don't do anything that's dangerous if you can't do that. If people start rioting in the streets and all that, nobody obligates you to go out and get a stick and say, I'm gonna defend, you don't have to do that. Yeah, if you're an expert martial artist or something, that's different. But if it's just you got people in your own house to defend, we don't recommend that. But we do recommend that when you can do something to help other people get into a better situation, then that's what's recommended by Allah and by your own conscience. Your own soul says, yeah, I could do
Like
that. Yes.
like if one state was struck by it, then the other state could send some like reinforcements of food or stuff like
Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
water.
Assistance. Yeah.
And then if that state is also struck, and if like the whole state, like that whole entire state has been struck, and like a whole other bunch of states, throw it to that state, and then that state, and that state, so it
Yeah,
can be shipped to that state and that state.
that's right.
If a whole country is struck in another country, if it's an ally,
You
you
got it.
can give food. And if there's like this whole ally team being struck, then while another ally part over here would help over there.
Yeah.
And then like the whole continent is struck. And like I don't know, like United States like North America was struck, then I guess like South America would like ship some food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could get foreign aid from a foreign country. And that helps us to be together, the two of us, that foreign country, our native country. We come together to share resources. That brings us together. So that's the principle that we need to remember about the letter Ta, as well as the English letter T. You got that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we don't have time to go into the next letter.
Like team.
Yeah. And usually teams come in twos, right? The football teams, they play each other. They don't play three teams at a time. They play two teams at a time, right? That's a great one that you came up with there. Teamwork. Us and you and them, teamwork. Very good. And as we get further into the reading of the Quran, which I know you're not used to right now, but you're going to love it once you start reading some verses from the Quran, because you're going to say, Instructor, there goes that letter. There goes that letter. And I know what it means. So you won't be reading like most everybody else. And Allah said to the people of no, you're going to like, oh, man, you go to sleep reading like that. But when you start reading and then including these meanings that I'm giving you for the letters and start applying those meanings to the words that have those letters, man, then I'm going to let you teach the class. I'm going to give you 15 minutes to just teach. You're going to prepare your little lesson plan. And you're going to say, Instructor, I'm ready on this day to teach my 15 minutes. First, I'm going to let you start with 5 minutes. It won't happen next week, but before the next 2 or 3 weeks go by, I'm going to say, MAHDI, I want you to prepare a 5-minute lesson on the letters that we've discussed so far. By then, you would have learned at least 6 or 7 different letters in Arabic. Then, when I start teaching you how to read Arabic, it's going to be super duper fun. Did you hear what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me try it one more time. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right. Mahdi, do you hear what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, my man. All right. So we're going to close out now. This was a wonderful, wonderful session. I feel very good about it, and I hope you do also. If there's anything you'd like to ask me before we close out, we can do that now. And if not, then we'll just close out and we'll meet again this time next week.
Also, yeah, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you said we couldn't write the same thing on the on what did I do for my mom and dad and that stuff, right?
Yes, that's right.
What if at some point like I've I'm starting to like run out of things to write down.
About what you do for your mom and dad,
Mm-hmm.
then I would suggest that you think harder about doing other things for your mom and dad that you can talk about. You should
Okay.
never, ever run out of good things to say about what you did for your mom and dad. because they did so many good things for you and they still do so many good things for you that you will feel bad not having anything good to do for your mom and dad.
Okay.
Let me tell you something real quick. My mother and father are deceased, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I still do good things for them because I say to myself, my mother would love for me to do this because when she was here, we used to do this together. We used to go to this little diner, you know. So in my head, I'm still seeing my mother like as being with me. You understand? Because spiritually, people are still with you. So I would see, she would love for me to do certain things for the grandchildren that when she died, they were only like 2 years old and 5 years old. They're all adults now. So I do things with my own children that I know if my mother and father were here, they'd love it. They tell me, Ben, that this was just a great thing that you did for my grandchildren. Those outfits you bought them, or the way you teach them to be conscious about their health and what they're eating, and the fact that none of them eat at Wendy's or McDonald's or Burger King. My mother would love that. So I'm still doing good things for my mother and father. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So just think harder about, and even if you put the same things like, I took the trash out, just try to write it in a different kind of way. I took the trash out, and when I took the trash out, I saw a squirrel in front of the house, and I went and got a walnut, and whatever, and I left it near the tree for the squirrel. So it's the same event, but you're adding other good things to the event. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My mom asked me to sweep my room or to make my bed. And this time when I made my bed, I did it with the happiest face that you could imagine. And when I went to tell my mother that I was finished making my bed, I told her with such a pleasant smile on my face, Mom, I finished the bed. Is there anything else you'd like for me to do before I go out and play? Or before I sit in front of my gadgets? Mom, is there anything else? Because you're more important to me than my gadgets. So I want to make sure you're straight first before I get to my gadget. Make sense? There's always something good. Allah created a whole universe that's good. It's good to us. We breathe in it, we eat from it, we get comfort from the sunlight and the heat and the air and all of that. And Allah is always doing something good for us. So I'm sure He put somewhere in you the ability to do good all of the time, not even most of the time, all of the time. You should be able to think of something good, especially when it comes to doing for your parents, because they did for you. They lowered their wings over you when you didn't even know who you were. You didn't even know your name when you was a baby, but they still took care of you. They didn't say this guy's an idiot. This baby is 6 months old and he's an idiot because he doesn't know name. He can't even talk. Why are we bothered with this child? Yeah, no, that's not what our parents did. They still loved us. They taught us how to talk and how to walk without falling and stumbling. They taught us to not touch the stove when it's hot. And our parents, man, you couldn't make a list long enough of the things that they did for us that were good for us. So never ever think that you can't think of more things to do that are good when it comes to doing those things for your parents. You got that?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
What you meant by doing something for me, you meant like by improvements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Because you do the same thing for yourself every day. You get out, and you make your own bed, and you eat your breakfast or whatever. Those things are good for you. But you might want to talk about what you had different today for breakfast, and maybe what you had this morning for breakfast was more healthier than what you had yesterday for breakfast. So you talk about those, just the little sentences like you've been writing, nothing long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just mix it up a little bit. Just make it different.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I love your homeworks, man. And your I love your handwriting. Your handwriting says a lot. It's very expressive, a lot of loops, big space, and it's breathing. Your sentences breathe. Some people I read their writing and it's like little loops. I'm like, what is this? Do I have to get them to interpret this for me? But yours is just nice. You space your words nicely. Yeah, I love reading your handwriting. All right. Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right. Yeah, I had said to my YouTube audience and my other students that last week's class with you was going to be the last one that I put up on YouTube, but I changed my mind. I have to put this session up because it is so profound and you are so brilliant in what you gave me today and the way that you gave it to me and the growth, the improvement that you're making. Like every week you come back like, bam, I'm going to give you something better than what I gave you last week, instructor. I love that. So I have to kind of show that off to my other students and to my YouTube audience. They have been writing comments in my YouTube box that are like, young MAHDI is just this little boy. They don't call you little boy. They just say young person is just so brilliant. We wish more of our young people could be like him. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you look at our videos, just scroll down the comments and look at what people write about you. If you haven't done it already, okay? Huh? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You know how to get to my channel?
Yeah. Let's search YouTube. And
Yeah.
just search Bilal.
Put Imam Benjamin Bilal. Okay. And as soon as this one is ready, I'll send it to your email also, as well as to YouTube. And if it gets to the point where you don't want to be seen on YouTube anymore, just say, instructor, that's enough. Okay.
Okay.
But you are helping me teach hundreds of other people, adults and children. They're learning as you're learning, and they love it. They said, please keep this coming. We're learning so much from you teaching junior learner MAHDI. My other students who are adults, they're called learners. You're the first junior learner that I have. But there will be others because they saw you and they said, wow, if he can learn these letters, then we can learn these letters. So they're learning in their homes as they're watching you. They watch you do your homework. It teaches them how to do their homework better. They hear you explaining the letters after hearing the meanings once or twice. Now it lets them know that they can do the same thing. So I give you an applause for that. I think that's super duper out of sight. All right. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. So we say to each other in the greetings of peace. And what is that greeting?
Assalamu alaikum.
All right. Say it slower.
Assalamu alaikum.
Say it. Oh, that was almost perfect. Say it one more time.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. And one minor thing. You can say salam alaikum instead of assalam alaikum. Did you know that? And only one of those greetings is in the Quran. The other greeting that we're used to saying most of the time, assalamu alaikum, that's just in the culture. That's just what people ended up saying. But what's in the Quran is salam alaikum. Can you say that?
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. That's what's in the Quran, like 4 and 5, 6 different times. It says salam alaikum, salam alaikum. It says that even the greetings in the paradise, when you go to paradise, the greetings there will also be salam alaikum. So it's your choice, but you say what you're comfortable saying. You don't push it on anybody. You don't make a big deal about it. It's not really that big a deal. But I like to stick to kind of, what's actually in the Quran as opposed to what people started saying way after the Quran was completed. Because I want to follow what Allah says as closely as I can. Does that make sense? All right. So with that said, let me hear the greetings again coming from you.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right. And then I say, alaikum salam. Or I can say, wa. Alaikum salam. But I don't have to say wa. I can just say what you said. You can say salam alaikum, and I can say back to you salam alaikum, and it's still good. Or you can say salam alaikum, and I can say alaikum salam, and it's just as good. Depends on what you feel comfortable with. Okay.
Okay.
And what does that mean in English? Salam.
If I remember correctly, it's like something, are you okay? Like greetings, or how are you? Or may you be with God or something.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a greeting, right?
Yeah.
But what it means specifically, salam means peace. Peace. That means that when I come greet you, I don't have anything in my head that says I want to fight you, or I want to be against you, or I want to be your enemy, or I'm going to take something from you. Every time I see you and I say salam alaikum, I'm saying that I want us to be that T word together. I want us to be tied. I want us to be tethered to each other in peace, because we can get more done if we're at peace with each other than we'll get done if we are enemies to each other. Make sense?
Mhm.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Peace is actually spelled Peac.
Okay. I usually get it backward. I said, what did I say? PAE?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. See, that's what I'm talking about. Those kinds of corrections make me better, because I've done that on several occasions and people had to tell me, instructor, you know. So thank you for that. Now the whole YouTube universe will know how to spell peace. That's beautiful. So thank you. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I'll see you next time.
You
All
too.
right. All right.